was a boy, heaven was here, and America was here. You could be anything, you could do anything. I am the wrong person to have discovered this.
If you don't speak for them, who will?
I found a disease that no one has ever seen. Repetitive head trauma chokes the brain.
The NFL does not want to talk to you. You turned on the lights and gave their biggest boogeyman a name.
You're going to war with a corporation that owns a day of the week.
No proof was presented today because there simply isn't any.
They have to listen to us. This is bigger than they are.
What you think they're doing to you now? That's nothing. You have no idea how bad this could get.
I have to keep going.
They want you to say you made it all up.
If they continue to deny my work, men continue to die.
Sometimes in life, you're asked to leave it alone. But sometimes you can't.
Who are you? Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Everyone's successful, whether they are a celebrity, a professional athlete, an entrepreneur, or just a hardworking individual, has overcome some trials and tribulations. Allow your inspiration to come from watching and listening to by interviews from people that want to share their experiences of rising above challenges and discovering the miracle within themselves. I want to help you find strength in your struggle.
Snow day. Snow day. Snow day. Snow day. Snow day. Snow day. Snow day.
touch, tackle.
From the NFL to the CFL to the UFL and the AFL, those short abbreviations mark the path my guest today has taken since graduating from high school, from college, and signing his first professional football contract in the National Football League. Although the Philadelphia Phillies were the first major champions since the 1980s in October of 2008, Ron Jaworski's Philadelphia Soul team were the first champion of the city of Philadelphia in July 2008. Bryan Robinson, a 6'3", 300-pound defensive tackle, brought his talent to the Philadelphia Soul in 2012. In his first season, Bryan broke the Soul record for tackles for loss and earned second-team All-Arena honors, finishing 5th in the AFL in sacks, and broke his own record for tackles for loss, and was voted to the All-Arena team in 2013. Today, this giant of a man is going to talk about the other side of his life and how he overcame obstacles to be a working success story by finding strength in his struggles. Welcome, Bryan.
Thank you.
So, Bryan, this first section, I'd like to just ask you a few questions, starting with where you come from and how that was. So, what was it like growing up in Dover, Delaware?
You let everybody else tell it from a big city. It's a small town.
Okay.
But to me, it was a nice sized city. It had its rough parts, its nice parts, but it was home. You know, Mama, she raised me same way I think everybody else's mom raised. You know, instilled a lot of truths in me, a lot of facts about life, and a lot of ways to carry myself in life. My father was a hard-working man. Both of them were hardly home because they were out making the money to provide for me and my sister, my older sister. So it was interesting, to say the least. I spent a lot of summers down at the beach or in Laurel, Delaware with my grandmother. But it was a good life, to say.
Yeah, beach for a kid, that's nice, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, with my uncle, yeah, it was. He was a little younger, so it was fun. It was fun.
So would you say your parents are some of your greatest influencers, or would you name them and other people?
Absolutely. They're at the platform or the foot rock. I don't necessarily can't find a better word right now to describe it, but they're
like
the
foundation.
At the foundation.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to find. The foundation and the base for where I am today as a Maine. So definitely.
Great. So what was it like playing football at Division III and moving up?
It was interesting, to say the least. I didn't know how it was going to turn out when I was there. I was recruited D1. Circumstances outside of that kind of led me to Division III. But it was interesting. But I tell you what, as soon as I got the swing of it, I got the swing of it in my first game. I blocked a field goal to win the game for our team, secured a win, and from that moment on, I think my football career kind of like skyrocketed beyond my own belief. So,
that's a good way to introduce yourself.
Yeah. It was, and it was just a ride, man. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I developed a lot of friends, a lot of brothers along the way. A couple of guys that landed in my wedding. So it was a joy, to say the least, and a true blessing.
Great. I've heard before from other athletes that you kind of touched on it there, that once you find yourself part of a team, that becomes your second family, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And you know, these guys end up being in your wedding and all that. That speaks to that.
Absolutely. They're like my best friends, my brothers. I lean on them in hard times and kind of allow them to counsel me through some situations as they lean on me.
Okay. You mentioned that there were some situations or some circumstances that led you to Division III. Can you share those with us?
Yeah, sure. I think I'm at a stage in my life where I'm ready to just, let it all go, and I talked about it before. There was a situation where it was an all-star game for our high school football team, and I had kind of achieved a status in a way and made the all-star team that year, and we played in the summertime, and it's a game for kids with autism and special needs, and we put it on, and it was kind of a fight all week because we stayed up at the University of Delaware for practices during the week to kind of get the game plan going, and it was fights all week, and out of the calf and on the field, and so it was only a matter of time when the game ended. It was a tight game, it was a close game. A couple of fans came on the stand, came into the playing area, and it's really no security out there for that at that time. And they started a fight, and before you knew it, everybody was kind of running every which way. Somebody threw a punch at me. I threw a punch back. Another guy grabbed me from my shoulder. Before you knew it, I was on the ground, and it was like 10 officers around me, and I was the only one getting arrested, as if I was the only one fighting.
Yeah.
And my father was kind of standing like off to the side over me, just yelling what he arrested my son for. You know, it was an ugly situation, but it ended up being a blessing because I was able to go on the journey that I did from there. And it didn't seem like it at first. And it felt like life was gonna take a turn for the worse, but you know, it was only the beginning of it.
So here you are, this promising athlete, doing quite well, doing a good deed, a good charity deed, and then ends up in a situation. Yeah. So you know a little bit about struggle.
Right. Yeah. That was a major struggle for me at the beginning, kind of trying to find myself and see where I had put my family and my own self in the situation, and you know, just kind of move on from there and try to stay positive.
And so obviously you've done that. So could you share with our audience of how you were able to find strength in your struggle?
You know, just really, I think it took a lot of self-evaluation, just kind of evaluating where I was as a person. Did I make the wrong decisions to get myself in that position? Could I have done anything better? And just really trying to evaluate how I make my decisions and how I react in times like that. And along the way, it took a lot of faith. I definitely got closer to God as I got older. I was raised in the church by my mother, but you know, when you're young, you kind of develop your own sense of how things go. I'm not saying I ever lost faith in God, but just wanted to kind of figure it out on my own. And I think my parents allowed me to do that. And I came back in my own time. But it was that was definitely a foundation, as we said earlier, in me getting myself to where I am today. And a lot of help from friends and family, just staying positive and keeping me in their blessings and supporting along the way. I would say was the biggest thing.
I guess you find out during those times who your friends are.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and who they're not.
Right. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, because a lot of times people run when there's difficulty or they see a struggle.
Right.
You know, not recognizing that that's when we find out the most about ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Man, that's great. So, where are you working now? What are you doing between seasons?
Right now, I currently just got a job working for the state of Delaware. I'm working out of a detention center. Can't really give too much now.
Understood.
From there, but
helping other people.
Helping other people. Yeah. I'm helping the youth. Is where my mental is at right now, and where I am as a man. I see a lot of problems developing in our world, and I see it's a lot harder. I have 3 kids of my own, so it's a lot harder for kids to kind of grow up in this world. They're exposed to a lot more than I was even, you know, as a child. So it's been my job, you know, or my will, you know, want to kind of get back and kind of help them along the way, however I can, and just try to guide them and reach them in ways that, you know, maybe I can, and hopefully I can save a couple along the way.
I think so. I mean, you have a platform that young kids respect and look up to, you know, and the fact that you've had those experiences of overcoming, you have a unique perspective that you can share with them.
Absolutely, it's a journey in its own right. It's struggles, you know, from an earlier age until, you know, to achieving goals, you know, in my later stages of becoming a man and then raising my own. So yeah, it's definitely been something.
So do you think that had you not had those early challenges that you described, that would you be in the place you are today in terms of helping young people? Or maybe you would have gone a different direction. Can you speak on that?
I really, to be honest with you would think so, yeah. But you don't know because, you know, like I said, I'm a firm believer in God, so I believe that there's also a path that's been bestowed on me and set out for me. So, you know, with that, I believe that it all happened for a reason. Yeah. And so that those incidents in life and those situations that developed along the way kind of developed me into the man I am and wanting me to take the path. Because originally I had different thought in playing football. It didn't work out.
Okay.
Where I was going to go and what I was going to do. So it was, yeah, it's definitely been a change. I would say a change. I don't know if I would have did the same thing.
Understood. I think it's interesting when you talk about faith and how your faith. You never lost faith in God, but it probably strengthened it.
Right.
Because of what you had to go through.
You definitely lean on him more, and you find yourself having those conversations that you used to laugh about old folks talking about in the church with your buddies in the back, you know what I'm saying, or your cousins.
Yeah.
I went to church with a lot of my family, and you know, you hear those old people talk, and they say stories, and as a kid, a child, a young person, you're like, oh, they're crazy. You know what I'm saying? What are they talking about? You know, but
yeah.
As you go through life and you become who you are as a person, you're going to find them times when you're by yourself. And it's like a dark room, but really you're traveling through life, you know, and it's like a dark room and you're leaning there and you're by yourself and you need something to lean on. And you find yourself talking to God. Yeah, those one-on-ones. And I've been there many a times. I still go there from time to time, you know.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to go.
No, it's not bad at all. And, you know, you feel, I can't explain it, but it's like a different, you know, presence when you're in that situation, and it's just uplifting, and to come out knowing that you feel like you've been able to speak your piece, and kind of get some resolve from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. So, what are your biggest joys in life right now?
My babies.
Okay.
My babies, absolutely. You know, professional world is a little bit different. I love the game, but I think that where I am today is the love for seeing them like smile and do things with them and just enjoying life with them.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And knowing that when they look at you, you are the end all be all to everything.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure too, isn't it?
A lot of pressure, but you know what? It's not as much pressure as being out there on the 50-yard line, in between those goal lines.
Yeah.
But it's a different type of pressure. It's just like, you know, you make a mistake, you gotta correct it.
Yeah.
You know? You gotta correct it. There's no next game.
Yeah.
You know? It's like
they're looking at you.
Right.
What's Daddy gonna do?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I enjoy it though. I really do. I think you know, where I'm at kind of is where I was meant to be. So.
Okay. Sounds like in some ways it's easier to play that very tough physical game than it is to
Yeah, absolutely.
The stakes are higher.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely is.
Stakes are higher. So
that's a release.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something that makes sense. So, just a couple more questions before we wrap up this first segment. What do you think is a reachable goal for you right now? You have 3 kids, you mentioned. You still like playing the game. What's your next step?
You know, it's always dreams at the end of the NFL. I feel like, you know, going back, and you know, I feel like what all I've accomplished. I've accomplished so much. You know, I cracked the top 10 this year. I just finished up my 6th year of arena football, so I cracked the top 10 in sacks this year, and you know, it's just with so much on my belt and going to the Arena Bowl and kind of being at the pinnacle of the professional stage in which I'm at, you know, or which I'm on at this point in time. To be honest with you, I think my goal is to kind of, you know, if that situation doesn't arise very soon, then, you know, the situation of making it to the NFL, it would be my goal to kind of transition out and take the next step towards life, which is, you know, the 9 to 5, like the regular man, you know, and kind of just enjoy life and continue to get back and try to make a difference.
Yeah, it sounds like you're prepared for either.
And mentally, right now, yeah. You know, mentally, I'm prepared to go back. I love the game, so I never want to not play.
Right.
But if the situation arises where I go, where, you know, sees fit for me to be on the other side,
sure.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm ready for that.
So, how do you think other people can find strength in their struggle? You know, folks like you said, a lot of young people out there struggling, different situations come up, and you've been able to witness that firsthand and give a helping hand. What would you say to people out there that might be struggling?
Just find a support system. Your supporting cast around you, meaning your mother, father, grandmother, whoever is that guide or provider for you in your life. Just hold them tight. Your friends, keep them close. Understand that, you know, situations arise where you're going to lose friends and you're going to gain some more. But through life and in situations, but you know, just keep your cast the type of people that you would think are acceptable people. in this world, and successful people, and where you want to be. And ultimately, I think that you'll find yourself accomplishing those same types of feats if you do, and keeping that support system.
Fabulous, fabulous. That's great advice, and I think that you demonstrated that when you put your mind to it, using faith, using a sports system, understanding that giving back to others is another means that I hear that you use to kind of get yourself through, that you always come out positive on the other end. So thank you so much for sharing that.
No problem.
Child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away, and he was talking for I knew it. And as he grew, he'd say, I'm gonna be like you, Dad. You know I'm gonna be like you. And the cat's in the cradle and the sleep. Little boy, big man. When you come home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time then. My son turned 10 just the other day. He said, thanks for the ball, Dad, come on, let's play. Can you teach me to throw? I said, not today, I got a lot to do. He said, that's okay, and then he walked away, but he smiled at the tip and said, I'm gonna be like him, yeah, you know I'm gonna be like him.
As my special guest today. So glad that you were able to make it. We ended our last session with you talking about faith and how that has helped you, and so you talked about how your mom raised you in the church and different things, and as young people, you know, I was young once as well, you know, kind of veered off the path and kind of did my own thing, but then came back. And so just how much does church play a role in your life today?
It plays a major role. Probably not as much of a role as my mother would approve of, but it does play a major role. I find myself and my wife, and when we're in hard times, we resort right back to the church, and we lean on the church, and we make it so that we physically appear in the church. So you know, sometimes the people don't do that, but I won't say I go as much as I would like to, but I do attend, and especially when I feel the need to go, I will be there.
And do you have a specific church home that you prefer, or kind of search around?
We search around. With my wife, we're in a relationship, so interracial relationship. So it's a little bit different culture aspect in the churches.
Yeah.
So we really tried to find a couple different churches. We tried my mother's church, in which she went to, which was a little bit you know, too much for her. I understood it, but it is what it is. And then we tried a church more along the lines of what she was used to, and you know, it just wasn't my speed.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
But,
okay. You guys are trying to find a lane.
All right, but we did find a church, Calvary Assembly of God, that we often frequently go to, and we enjoy it. You know, it's just the right amount, and he always seems to hit Pastor Kuhn always seems to hit the message right on the head for us when we appear. So it's almost like it's destined for us to be there.
Yeah, it's just for you.
So so that's how we're doing it right about now.
Well, I think you hit on a couple important things. I think it is important to feel comfortable with the culture of the folks you're going to church. So we can't escape culture.
Right.
And so regardless of where we go, what denomination, that doesn't matter as much of am I comfortable? Is my family comfortable? So thank you for putting that perspective out there. So what are your feelings about being spiritual or being religious? We just talked about church. But church is a building.
Right.
And, you know, the people make up the church. And so the type of people that kind of go. So what is your take on the difference between spiritual and religious?
Oh, man, I might roll some fellas with this one.
Speak your mind.
If I'm speaking my mind, that was one of the reasons why I did get away from church when I was younger. I don't want to say it this way, but it's really the only way I can describe it. The act in which appears in the church, and then it appears on the outside differently. You know, was hard for me to grasp and hard for me to understand as a child. So that was one of the reasons why. That was a major reason why. That's probably 85% of the reason why I got away from it, and just kind of tried to find my own path and took classes on it and actually studied it and studied the meaning and the history and you know, tried to go back, and because I'm a kid, I'm a guy who needs to understand, you know, what something is about to really grasp it and take hold of it and believe in it, you know. You know, as a kid, your mom can take you to church all the time. She do whatever she wants to do, but it's never going to hit you till it hits you, you know, in the right moment. So for me, it was trying to develop that as a kid, and then as an adult, I still see the same things, but I don't allow it to affect me, you know, the same way. I won't allow it to pull me away from what I believe in, you know, and where I want my family to be and what I want my faith to hold. So for me, it's like, you know, there's still, I believe the church is a place that people think if they go, then they're okay. And, you know, you don't necessarily have to take a step in the right direction towards the righteousness that they're speaking about, you know. But for me, it's a different path, which is why I don't think I'm fully where I should be as a man, you know, and where I want to be when it's all said and done, you know. But it is a life process. Absolutely. You learn that through the book. Yeah. So if you read it and you pay attention, you learn that through the book. So for me, I think I'm coming along just fine. I think I know where I am. I'm able to decipher different things and weigh in on my own perspective.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think you touched on several important issues. I think one, you were being very diplomatic, by the way. What you saw in the church is what many of us saw as children growing up, and what we used to call it faith. Right. You know, the old folks call it hypocrite. You know, but the bottom line is
Bible thumpers.
You didn't see behavior matching what folks were saying, and being holy on Sunday or whatever day you could choose to go to church. And then the rest of the week, you know, you may have seen some other things. And sometimes you have to wait till the rest of the week. You saw it on the same day out in the parking lot or in the back room or something. So I think you described something that a lot of young people have mentioned to me. And I'm very much into the faith community nowadays. And young people are saying the same thing that you just described, Bryan. They're talking about how it's no longer my grandmother's or my mother's, and that they're looking for their own relationship with God. So I think that that's an important thing you've touched on.
It's a little, if I could add on it,
sure.
It's different for them, though. I would say to me, the world was a different place when I chose to venture off on my own path, and it was a scary place to be out there, not necessarily having that faith like that, you know, and trying to find what really was. I think today, if you do that,
you might not make it back.
You might not make it back, because it's a tough world, man, and it's only getting harder, and the way it's, I mean, just all the things that you see and they're exposed to, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot for a young person who's confused already to take in and choose the right side. Absolutely. Choose the right path. So, you know, more power to them. They're in my prayers every day. That's why I try to work with them.
Yeah, mine too.
It is tough, man. It is really tough.
You touched on the fact that you were a different kind of kid. I like how you described it, that you went on a search for yourself. You know, you no longer relied upon what you were told. And so during that search, what did you discover about the faith, your faith, and yourself when you went on that search for your own self?
When you don't go on the path that's described, that's laid out for you, it can get bumpy. It can get real bumpy. And it did. It got bumpy there for a while, and you feel alone. You do feel alone. You feel alone because there are those moments when you want to talk and you can't, you know, because you're trying to figure it out, or you don't know how to, you know. It can be a lonely path. Sure. That's all I can really say. It's lonely. It's bumpy, and it makes a hard world harder.
So that's where that support that you talked about is good to have somebody that has faith as well, that can support you through those difficult times.
And that's one of the things that I always had. One of my he's like a brother to me now. Kurt, I'll go ahead and say his name. He was a college teammate. He was older than me. He was 2 years older than me. But he just, man, when I was going through it, it was to him. He would say his prayers every night. You know what I'm saying? And this was the guy I was looking up to because he was older than me. He would say his prayers every night. You know, he was into hip hop just like I was, but he knew that there was a higher purpose. He knew that there was a God. And, you know, I don't know if it necessarily was him, but he was one of the kind of pioneers in steering me back to, you know, the right way.
Yeah.
And I think there's less and less people like Kurt.
That's a powerful witness that you just described, because a lot of times what I think folks are looking for is something to hit them in church, some particular song or sermon, and it can happen that way. But what you just described is a relationship.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you described a relationship, somebody you looked up to, somebody who demonstrated through their own action that they had a relationship with God. And you were searching and looking, and man, isn't that a good way to get it?
Yeah.
We're not going to all get it through Bible study.
Right.
We're not going to all get it through the four walls of the church. But here's an experience that you described that influenced your choices down the road.
Yeah, it just felt right.
That's beautiful. So you mentioned culture, and you and your wife being from different cultures, and you mentioned traveling around and trying to find the church that fits. Well, you have 3 kids now, so how do you incorporate that search with your kids and the faith community?
Oh man, it's you know what? It was tough because my daughter, she's very vocal, very opinionated.
Okay.
She gets it honest from me and her mother, and you know, she just she'll let you know she's not feeling something. And my son, my oldest son, he's not that way. He's quiet, he's laid back, and he can chill in any situation. He can be in any situation. So he's kind of got that in me about him. He can be in any situation and kind of make it work for him eventually, you know. But they were at that age where they were developing their own opinions. And we took them, and my daughter, she fell in love with it. She fell in love with every aspect of it, the singing, the dancing, the clapping hands, the just, you know. And then we took her to children's church, which they have there at Sunday school, and she loved that. Just took off, wanted to go every week, you know. And my son, he was like, man, I don't know, Dad. I don't know. He's waiting on it. He's trying to figure it out, man. And finally, the one Sunday, we woke up in the morning. We're going to church. You know, he was excited. So I could tell that they kind of found their way, and they liked it. And it wasn't something that we forced them to. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, this is what we're going to do. You know, if you like it, tell me you like it. If you don't, then we'll try to figure out something else. You know, but you know, we're going to do it together. Right. So whatever we got to do it together.
So I think that's important. So what advice will you give your kids, not if, but when they go on their own search for life, like as you did and as I did and as all children that turn into adults do? What do you think will be your advice to your children when they
trust what you see?
Okay.
Trust what you see. What you hear isn't always what you see, but you can't deny what you're looking at. So if you believe it, you see it, it is what it is. And you know, just trust what you see, and the rest will lead you. You know, hopefully by that time we've instilled in them enough that they kind of have a good idea of what it looks like anyway. So when they come back to that, or when they get to that point in time in their life, you know, we just let them figure it out.
Yeah.
But stay close, you know. Stay close. So
that makes sense. And you talk about trusting what you see, and you describe, you know, the search. And so I'm interested if you were to take that a step further and say, what is it that you see? You know, what do you see when you think about your faith and what you've been through and the struggles and the challenges, the successes, the difficulties? What do you see when you think Bryan Robinson? What do you see?
I see God working through me. Just everything. Every negative that I've had, the 3 positives that have come because of it without you seeing. Sometimes a positive might not always be something you want it to be, but it's something that needs to be for you. And you know, when something bad happens, that's usually a representation of something you're not doing right. And my mother has always told me that. And there's something that you need to adjust in your life in order to correct it. Okay. So with that alone, it's just like, it's like I said, the visual for me, it's been everything. You know, getting in trouble at a young age, being able to go to Wesley, getting that opportunity, being able to shine, and being blessed with no injuries while I was there, and just played every single game my whole entire career there. Loved it, lived it up, had a blast, enjoyed it. Got an opportunity to go to the NFL, another blessing. Got released within his own way, became another blessing. Got to go to the UFL. Met Denzel Washington. I know Denzel Washington on a regular day, right?
True.
You know, just so many things. The AFL and how it's worked itself into my life and made it so that my family is able to see me every weekend that we play at home, you know, and that blessing of having that support there, and my sister, you know, being like kind of like my big brother along the way, and her being able to see every game, bring her friends, and being so proud and watching them on social media because it's such a big aspect of life today, and just having that constant support. And you see the support from the town that I came from, Dover, when we play or when we make the playoffs, all of a sudden old teachers, you know, older folks in the town, everybody is supporting me on social media. Good luck this weekend. They're posting about me. I made All Arena. They post my All Arena thing around. It's probably been shared maybe 1,000 times on Facebook, you know, to people in Dover. So it's like, it's amazing that I've been able to accomplish this, and mentally where I'm at, I still feel like I'm me. Yeah. So I haven't lost, I don't think, any of myself along the way. I kind of
sounds like you gained quite a bit.
Yeah. I figured a lot out. I figured that I wasn't as hot as I thought I was. That's what I think the NFL situation was about. You know, kind of grounded me. And you know, I'd love to get an opportunity, like I said. But if it ain't in his plans, it ain't in his plans. But I understand, and I'm definitely happy for where I'm at.
Good. Well, I think all those, you know, experiences you described, you know, kind of remind me that there's a chapter in my book called "God Has Been Bragging on You Again: Surviving Your Job Experience." If God is bragging on you, what does that look like for you? What is He saying?
He's proud of you. If God is bragging on you, you have followed His path and excelled in the path that He's given and chosen for you, which makes Him look like He did the right thing. Yeah. And you followed the right path and did the right thing as well. And now you're both going to reap the benefits of that. You know? And the fruit of the moments, right? Yeah. Right. So, you know, that to me, that's what I think about when I see that, and I think that when I look back on it all, I can smile. I got a lot of jerseys hanging up. My dad's real proud of me. You know, whole family. Yeah. So it was a good situation. That's good.
You think that comes full circle? I mean, I'm talking about, you know, God's been bragging on you again. You mentioned your father is proud of you. I can only imagine how proud you are of your sons and your daughter.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of a connection there. And you're a father, you're a parent. Now you know what your father felt. Yeah. Can we kind of think of maybe how God feels about us?
Absolutely. I mean, if I got to take it down to a form where I'm describing myself, there's only I can know how I feel about a certain situation. I'm watching my two oldest kids yesterday. I bought them penny boards, and they're skating. They're trying to figure it out. They're not good at it, but they're trying to figure it out, right? So I take them to a parking lot yesterday, and I'm letting them play, and I'm letting them figure it out. And I told them, I said, you're going to take your bumps and bruises along the way, but that's how you get better, right? You know? And it's kind of like the story of life and the way God lays it out for you. You're going to have situations where you get hit, you get knocked down, you got to pick yourself back up and keep it going. So it is funny how it's kind of the circle of life. We taught that in the Lion King, let alone the Bible. Right. But it's interesting, and it is to see them. We were out there for about 2 hours yesterday, and on those penny boards, and I couldn't do it because I just recently had a surgery. But I'm watching them, and they're so determined to get it. And when my daughter finally got it, she was like, you know, like, I did it, Dad. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, yeah.
It's a great feeling.
But and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to get all too excited because I'm like, you know, this is a minor achievement compared to the major achievements you got ahead of you. Yeah. But
we have to celebrate those achievements, you know, those little steps, you know.
Right. And I smiled, and you know, I told them every time they do something, whether it's school, you know, they get a good report in school. She does softball. She's on a bunch of travels. She's pretty good at that for a young age. And every time they achieve something, my son, whatever they do, I'm proud of you. You know, I'm proud of you because I feel like you set yourself up. You wanted to do something. You did what it took to get there, and you achieved it. And now you feel that feeling of being successful at something. So I'm proud of you, but I want you to keep it going. I want you to know what it takes and keep it going. So, you know, my dad did it in a different way, but I knew what he was doing. Now that I look back on it, I know that
you can make your adjustments.
Right, and kind of feel along the way. I want to do it. I'm a different man than my dad, but I'm just like my dad. So it's an interesting path to say the least.
All right, we'll be right back.
Since time is the rarest commodity, in 90 seconds, I will show you how saving you time will save you money. Daily, you work 7 to 15 hours researching, theorizing, and practicing your strategy. Sometimes an experienced, qualified expert can speed up time, but where can you find a valid expert? Experts by Experts has a broad database of professionals that will have been selected by expertise, pre-screened that fit any budget. Your goal is our focus for a favorable outcome. To get started, call, email, or even fax in your needs, type of case, and criteria for the expert. Once you get CVs to review, make a selection, and you're on to family time. Based in Philadelphia, PA, with other East Coast offices working for law firms, solo attorneys, and corporations, so wherever you are, we can be there. Spending quality time with family means less worrying about work when you're not at work. Experts by Experts assist in giving you peace of mind and quality service. Today, schedule a meeting by phone or in person at your convenience to build a working relationship so we can earn your business and you can focus on more important things.
So Bryan, you mentioned as we were ending the last segment, we were talking about your kids and you mentioned what you're teaching. How long have you been married?
I've been married for 2.5 years.
Still fresh?
Yeah, still tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the challenges that a young, athletic, gifted, easy on the eyes brother has now that he's taken off the market?
Oh, man. Man, it is, it's like a shark pool, to be honest with you. You know, it's like, you know, the water gets more dangerous, you know. It's, the women, it just seems like, you know, especially in the position I am in life, being a professional athlete, traveling and going different places, I have to make sure that my wife trusts me and make sure that she knows that everything is going to be okay. And she doesn't have to think about those types of things when I'm out. As far as when I'm out and on my own, you know, you deal with, you know, fans, different females, people, just different tempting situations, I would say, that just develop along the way, trying to kind of deter you from doing the right thing.
Sure.
So, for me, it's been tough, but I've learned a lot too.
Yeah.
I think everything in life is meant for a reason.
Sure.
And I think that's where I've kind of been with this whole thing. And I'm happy that I'm 2.5 years in.
Yeah.
And we're still working.
Good.
We're not perfect. Right? Nobody is.
That's true.
And we're trying. And we're gonna try. We're gonna continue to make it as good of a life as we can.
Absolutely.
For our kids.
Do you get a sense that when you have that platform that you have, that the people that are coming at you and everything, that it's kind of goes with the territory, and so you don't really have to take it as if everybody means everything that they're saying because they see you as a desirable object or something physical. Right. No different if they figure, okay, well, you may have money or you have position or you have status. Right. And so is it easier then to kind of brush those things aside when you know what they're throwing at you is not real?
It's, you know, I've always sided with athletes and famous people on this subject because it's tough to me. It's tougher to me. Because you have to be able to decipher those fakes and be able to know that people are only coming at you because of your status or talking to you. But you also have you're caught in a position if you don't decipher them and kind of put them off in the right manner, you could be viewed in the wrong way.
Now you're the bad guy.
Now you're the bad guy, and you don't want to be viewed as the bad guy. So it's a thin line you have to walk in. It's really tough for celebrities and athletes.
Sure.
You know, I'm not saying I'm at some of the status of those guys, but for even me, coming from a small town like I did, a small city, you know, going back home, you get those people. You got the one side, oh, you think you're big, you know, you think you're this and you're that, and you know, blah blah blah. And then I'm in the middle, like, no, I don't, man. I'm chilling. And then I got this other crowd, you know, who's over here, and this is my group of friends.
Right.
And my group of friends is going to keep me here rather than being here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, for me, I think it is tougher, but it's interesting to say that. Sure. It's very interesting.
One more challenge, right?
Yeah, why not? Right.
So how does your wife handle the dual roles when you're in season? I think it's safe to assume that your time is limited when you're in season.
It was real tough this last year. I commuted back and forth from Delaware to Jersey for practices and Philly for the games. And then the long weekends when we traveled somewhere. We had a week where we were gone for a full week in Florida, you know. And she had all three of the kids, and she held it down. She held it down. She did her thing. You know, and me being in the position that I am, I have to, it's kind of where I am right now with my thought process as far as where you said where I was at, and being able to understand what's ahead and what I've done thus far. And for me, it's, you know, I just thank her. You know, every time I get the opportunity, or I try to. You know, I may not do it as much as she would like, but I try to, you know, appreciate her, because not only is she helping me out, but she's helping us out, you know, and she's holding it down all by herself. And she's doing what she needs to do to keep us together. Sure. And to keep us grounded in where we need to be. So, for me, she's like the rock, you know, she's my rock, as the older folks would say. Yeah. So, yeah, she is my rock, and she holds me down, and, you know, I try to do the same for her.
Good, good. You mentioned earlier, we were talking about the importance of having a support system and all that. Do you have people that kind of help out with the kids from time to time, so
Absolutely.
So she doesn't have to shoulder it all the time?
I'm actually going to take her to dinner tonight. I'm on a little date tonight. It's the first time.
Oh, smart man.
Yeah, first time in a little bit. But my sister is actually watching the kids tonight.
Great.
So, yeah.
And how's your relationship with your parents? Are they both still living?
Absolutely, yes. Still breathing, still calling me, still checking on me.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
You know, and you know, for a while, I was the kid that, you know, God, just stop calling, you know, like give me my space, you know. But you see them kind of develop different issues along the way with older age, and you start to, and you see their friends or older siblings or parents of theirs start to fade away, you know, and pass, and so you grow a deeper appreciation for them, and you want to appreciate those times and spend those times. My father has a sister who's ill right now, and it's his older sister, and I know he's going through it, and so the past couple of weeks I've tried to, you know, do little things. I don't know if he notices, but I know it's been my plan to kind of go to high school games with him around the area, and just enjoy that Friday night and kind of get away from it all to what it used to be for us, you know, and then back to a good time in his mind. And you know, just try to kind of base out and let him know, you know, I'm here, you know, and try to be there for him. And I think those things are important in family. You know, it's sometimes hard though, because you got everything else going on. Sure. You know, I got my own family. Right. You know, kind of 4 other people that I got to worry about. Yeah. So, you know, for me to add 5 and 6 and then 7 with my sister, you know, it can be tough at times, and it's a juggling process. But
I guess sometimes, depending on the day, you feel like you're being stretched.
Yeah. Definitely, because my mom is the assertive woman, you know, and very stern, and her presence is felt when she's entered the room. Okay. And with her, her, she's always if you don't know what you did, best believe she's gonna let you know, you know, so, or let you know what you need to do, so to make the situation right. So with her, it's always a task to me, and my sisters always joke all the time, but I appreciate it. My sister, she's still, you know,
less so.
You know, she's older than me. She doesn't get it. But me, you know, like I said, I'm mentally kind of in a different place, so I get it and I understand what she's doing. It can be mighty annoying at times, but she's your mother.
Yeah,
so absolutely. You know, and at the end of the day, she's just looking out for your best interest, or what she thinks it is. So.
And people do things differently, right? When they show they care, you know, they do it differently.
Right.
You
She's
mentioned
got her own way of loving.
You mentioned the strategy about how you were, you know, helping your dad out with some of the stresses he's under. Do you have other stresses or challenges that you have some particular way of handling? I think going to a high school football game, because it's something you guys did together, and I remember, I think that was great, you know, because you know him better than anybody. You know he would like that.
Right.
What are some other things that you do to kind of reduce stress, or to at least help you get through stress, or help others? For
me, it's, my wife hates it, mind you, but for me, it's video games. Absolutely, video. I'm a video game freak. I love NCAA. I hate that they don't.
Do you play like international, or?
I play, I play over the internet with my friends. We stream games. I'm a FIFA guy, Madden guy, basketball. I'm the basic. I'm a sport guy. I'm kind of a jock in that aspect. I love those games. I'm just now starting to get into the shooting games and whatnot, but it doesn't really pique my interest when I'm trying to be stress free. I don't like getting shot at. So it's not necessarily an ideal situation. But for me, it's video games. And just kind of being able to, for me, or when I'm riding, I like to take long rides and ride in my car and listen to music. To me, those are the two aspects that kind of take me away from the world and the situation that's going on at the time, and it allows me to focus on that aspect. Even if I don't win the game that I'm playing, you know, I've still been able to release what I'm doing on that game.
The activity serves its purpose.
Right.
Okay.
And it's giving me the time to kind of unwind. And then from there, I'm able to go into what I need to go into and to resolve whatever's going on. But in music, definitely when I don't have the game, music is beyond a kind of a outlet for me. My mother would say that, you know, sometimes it can be evil. You know, she's one of those church folks. Hip hop can be evil, the evil music. That's how she referred to it. Even this past week when she knew I was taking the trip, don't listen to that evil music. But for me, you know, it's another guy or female, whether it be rap, I listen to Coldplay, Usher, Trey Songz, whoever it is I'm listening to, it's their story about what's going on. And to me, that's what music has always been about, a story. And most of the stories, because they're human beings, are relatable. So, you know, it's something that I could relate to and kind of put myself in a different aspect, in a different thought process at that time. So
makes sense. We've been talking this last segment a lot about family, and it's clear to me that family is big for you and it's important to you. What do you think about what's going on in the NFL right now with all the domestic violence? And you know, I mean, it makes it seem like all the guys in the NFL are doing this, but you and I know that's not true. But the general public out there hears about one or two stories that get blown up, and then next thing you know, you get another story. And so, just want to get your take on that.
I hate it. I can't stand it. I know hate. My mom wouldn't tell me to use the word hate. I dislike it. Because I feel like, you know, they're being picked on. I do feel like they're being picked on. I do feel like the guys that are going through the situations and that have those issues need to get them resolved. And they do have some underlying issues and some things going on in the past that have kind of came to the forefront in their recent experiences and dealings. But I do think how it is being portrayed is a bully tactic and kind of, you know, picking on somebody who can't really voice their opinion the way they want to. I think a lot of professional players are kind of muzzled in a way in what they can say and how they can say it because so many people are watching. And you know, it's a situation to me I feel kind of strong about, because I think that there's plenty of business owners and Fortune 500 guys that are doing the same things at home, and you don't hear about it.
Right.
You know, you don't hear about it, and it continues to go on to this day.
Right.
But every time some guy in the NFL, if he's putting on a jersey and his name is on the back and he's merchandisable, you know, he is exposed in the worst way, and it can be ruined. I look at Ray Rice's situation, and that was a terrible situation for him to take part in. I don't excuse his behavior at all, but I think how it was portrayed later on, and for it to have been a year after the fact, and people still bring it up, and it was on ESPN, you know, and kids are watching. Everybody's watching. This guy can't work with kids. He can't probably do any of the things he imagined himself to do when he retired from being in the NFL, and now he can't play in the NFL either.
Right.
So it's a situation where I think people are seeing one side and maybe need to open up and see both sides. And instead of pointing the finger and saying these guys, maybe they need to figure out what is going on and what is wrong and how can we prevent it. You know, and I think he's one of the guys. I recently read an article that he's reached out and tried to. He's interested in being the forefront guy for the NFL and domestic violence, and trying to get guys to have classes and take those classes and be more knowledgeable about what they're doing, so that they don't get themselves in these situations. And I think that's great. I think that's great that he does. I think his situation is a unique situation. I hope the NFL does pay him for that, because that would be major for him, and it'd be a good life for him, for someone who seems to have the right idea about it after it's happened. You know?
So it sounds like a couple things. That one, you don't want people painting with a broad brush all professional athletes, specifically these guys in the NFL, but also that you have a sense of forgiveness in your heart, and that people make mistakes, and that you recognize when people are trying to do the right thing, that we should uplift them and help them and give them a chance to make a difference.
Right.
I mean, what better spokesman than Ray Rice in this situation? He has experienced something that has devastated his wife and his own life, and I think that's important. So what do you want people to know about Bryan Robinson? Something maybe we haven't discussed. It's one thing that you might want them to know about you.
I don't know, and I always tell people just, you know, don't believe in everything you hear, you know, about me. See it for yourself, you know.
Get to know you.
I'm a visual guy. I gotta see it to believe it, you know. And for me, you know, who I am as a person and who I can be as a friend, a lover, father, a son, a brother, you know, those are all different aspects of me, and depending on which angle you're coming in at, you could get a different aspect in each one of those, you know. But I'm going to be loving, I'm going to be caring, I'm going to be concerned about your general well-being. I'm going to make sure that we have fun. I love to have fun. And I'm going to make sure that, you know, we're making the right decisions, because the wrong ones could lead us down a slippery slope.
Absolutely.
So I think that's when people think about me. That's, if you could summarize that up and write it in maybe my eulogy or something like that, I would be, you know, smiling down and being like, yeah, okay, that was good. So
okay, that's great. So let me ask you this: how have you found strength in your struggle today?
I can overcome anything. I can overcome anything. No matter how tall the task, no matter how difficult the road, bumpy, anything I can overcome. Just keeping my faith, believing in God, believing that nothing can hold me down, you know, and that I can achieve anything that I set my mind to, and I can go anywhere. I just gotta believe.
Fabulous. Man, I thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
You've been a great guest. It's been a joy to get to know you, and hope we can do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
My apologies to Denzel Washington. We ran out of time, but we'll get you in next week. Thank you so much.
You're in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are. What a weird time. Did you learn how to think in high school?
Critically think?
Yes.
No.
What if we taught kids how to think instead of what to think?
I think that would be a lot more efficient.
If you're spoon-fed things, you can regurgitate it, but we need to learn to innovate.
I hope that we create thinkers and not rote learners.
Would you say that you remember a lot of the things that you learned in high school?
Not at all.
What does the future look like if our students aren't properly educated?
It looks very bleak.